Katherine Langsford, long time no see. G'day, Cobber. How you doing? You need my help, doesn't everybody? You want me to talk to Kevin Feige about you getting your job back at the MCU. I don't know, Kathy. I don't think that's going to happen. But good news. There's a role going on Neighbours. Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I very welcome my friends and especially my enemies. Come in. Yes, it's official because the Russos are now talking about Avengers Endgame and stuff that went on behind the scenes. And one of the things which is quite shocking, there was rumours about Katherine Langsford from 13 Reasons Why. Katherine gave, a kind of critically acclaimed performance in 13 Reasons Why, especially the first season. The second series, we don't need to talk about that. So anyway, there was rumours about her being cast in the MCU, Avengers Endgame, and she did actually shoot a scene where she plays, is it Morgan Stark, Tony's daughter, in the future, and how she forgives him and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, test audiences didn't like it. Now, this is very, very interesting. Now, I don't know as much about this as Sandy Schaffer at Screen Rant, obviously. So shall we read what she's got to say? Endgame directors confirmed Katherine Langford cut role. Very dramatic, right. Avengers Endgame directors Anthony and Joe Russo have confirmed Katherine Langford cut role from the film. The 13 Reasons Why and Love, Simon stars involvement with Endgame was only reported in October 2018, making her a late addition to the movie's cast. Naturally, fans spent months that followed speculating about Langford's character in Endgame and whether she's playing someone important to the MCU's future. Some even went as far to create artwork of Langsford as various Marvel superheroes like Hawkeye legacy character Kate Bishop. Ultimately, however, Langsford's character wasn't included in Endgame's theatrical cut. Have you noticed? Nobody even noticed she wasn't in it. This is hilarious. Now that people have actually seen the film, through a whole fresh set of theories have emerged about her role in the story and why it was dropped. One of the new theories, perhaps the most popular one, suggests Langsford was cast as the grown-up version of Tony Stark and Pepper Potts' daughter Morgan Stark, who appeared to her father in a vision of the future like the one he had in Avengers Age of Ultron. While wonder no more, the Russo brothers have confirmed that she did in fact play an older Morgan in an unfinished cut of the movie. In an interview on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, the Russos revealed they shot a scene where Langsford played a teenage version of Morgan, who appeared to Tony after he got a hold of the Infinity Gauntlet and snapped Thanos and his army out of existence in Endgame. The idea was that Tony had entered the same metaphysical way station where Thanos saw young Gamora in Avengers Infinity War after doing his original stab. As Joe Russo explained, the sequence was meant to provide Tony with some closure, but didn't really work in the context of the larger movie. Let me tell you something, because I've seen it. It did work. But it's more about the actress than the actual the character fitting in, and I'll talk more about that, right? The intention was that Tony's future daughter, because these films are dealing with magic, his future daughter forgave him and sort of gave him peace to go, and the idea felt resonant, but it was just too many ideas in an overly complicated movie. This movie isn't even that complicated. I know it might be for the kind of a modern day audience, but it's not complicated. We're not talking about Lost here, for Christ's sake, where, we're not talking, let's not be stupid here. Anthony Russo shed some additional light on the matter, explaining the test audiences didn't feel an emotional association with the adult version of his daughter. No, that basically means they didn't like that actor playing his daughter, and they felt it didn't work with her doing it. I'll talk more about that in a minute. So it wasn't ringing to us and resonating with us on an emotional level. The explanation makes sense. Of course it does. Whatever anyone at the MCU says, everyone just says, well, I understand why they did it. Of his daughter. So it wasn't really. All things considered, while Tony shares a few sweet moments with his daughter as a little girl early on in Endgame, there's a whole lot that goes down plot-wise between then and Tony snapping his fingers in the movie's climax. As a result, test audiences may have struggled to automatically make the connection between Morgan as a kid and Langford when she appears for the first time as a teenage version of the character. That's not it. It's also different from the parallel moment in Infinity War, which had already shown Thanos meeting a young Gamora in a flashback before she appeared in a metaphysical way station post-snap. Instead, Endgame shows a dying Tony bidding farewell to Pepper and Peter Parker in the real world, shortly after snapping Thanos out of existence. This is followed by the scene where Tony says goodbye to Pepper and Morgan via a previously recorded message, which seems to serve the same function as Tony's vision of his teenage daughter. No, it doesn't, because he's saying goodbye to Peter as well, so it's way different. The Russo brothers didn't clarify if the latter was always in the film during their interview, but it's certainly possible it was added during reshoots as a replacement for Langford's sequence. Whatever the case may be, the final movie version concludes Tony's story on a perfectly satisfying note. Unfortunately for you all, and you all know it, but you're not talking about it, now there's a multiverse, and it was confirmed in yesterday's Spider-Man Far From Home trailer. That means nobody's dead, and different versions of these characters will come back. Robert Downey Jr. hasn't come out and said, I'm leaving the MCU. So there, he's not gone, so the whole thing's just ridiculous anyway. So it all worked out. Not to mention it frees up Langford to play another MCU character altogether. Maybe even Kate Bishop. No. You will never see Katherine Langsford in the MCU again. You won't. Because test audiences didn't like her. Let me tell you where I would expect Katherine Langsford to turn up. The CW Arrowverse. She's beautiful, she's pretty, she looks like she hasn't even got a chipped tooth, she's perfect, isn't she? In a perfect world. And that's why people didn't like her. It didn't ring true. If they cast someone else that actually worked, and it is about working and saying, actually, that's Tony Stark's daughter. Langsford, and I love Katherine, I do, I think she's a very talented young woman, and certainly should be doing more with her career than, silly little things like that. She's a really, really good actor, and for me, after doing 30 Reasons Why, instead of grabbing the Hollywood gravy train, I know it's difficult these days because there's not a lot of challenging projects out there, but she should certainly try looking for them. I know it's difficult for actors, they just want to grab hold of work, and the MCU's a massive deal. It's the biggest IP in movies right now. I think she was the wrong fit. She's the wrong fit for herself, for her career, and it's the wrong fit for the MCU. And I'm really, really glad that test audiences felt like I did when I saw it, that, total mistake. That's why it's not there. Forget about all this, it was been too complicated, would have confused people. No, look, there she is, older daughter, talking to Tony, very emotional. She's going to be the future Iron Man or Iron Woman or whatever you call it, whatever. Yeah, bring it on. But they picked the wrong actor. You won't see her in the MCU. Basically, the Russos cast her. The Russos will not be there again. Russos had more freedom as directors than Kevin Feige ever afforded anyone else. But now it's going to be a lot more regimented because they're not doing another film. So this is all very, very interesting now. So please let me know what you think. Would you have liked Katherine Langsford to have kind of a big role in the MCU? You glad she's not going to be involved? Please comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and join me later for today's DCEU Daily. When I can switch this off.